All right, we're back 2 weeks later. Like I said last week, I will not be working solely on moving because it was getting boring and frustrating, so I moved on to some other things. The biggest of that is UI. So you see the bottom bar at the screen, the bar down here at the bottom of the screen. If you tap a unit, I'll tap on the red shield. The options for that unit would come up. And if you tap on an enemy, if I tap on the yellow shield, you can see the enemy's stats there. So that would allow you to cycle through your units and compare against enemies and then perform actions. The functionality for what an action is, it was more work than I thought it would be, but let's take a look at the code. And basically, here's the protocol for what it's going to start to be. Each action needs a texture, whether it's a one-click immediate action or a multi-step action, a run function which will execute the action, on focus, on blur. An example of on focus would be if I tell someone to move somewhere and then I click somewhere else on the screen to do something else, and then I click back on the person that was moving. When they regain focus, the X marks the spot thing should reappear to show where they are moving. So kind of any UI things that would be specific to that action when the unit is selected would happen on focus, and then on blur those things would be removed. Anyway, so this is every action in the game: moving, attacking, casting a spell. All of that and everything that happens will be contained in little protocols. So the move protocol, I've just started, trying to get this to work. So it doesn't actually work in the game yet, but it gives you an idea of where that's going. And then the other thing, so the movement, I did fix a couple movement bugs. Like I said, I'm going to try to do just a couple movement bugs a week. Let me go to turn on some of the debug stuff so you can see. Give it a sec, it's building. So we have interesting things that are kind of annoying, but take a look at this triangle here, this bottom green triangle. So these are all just physics objects that are triangles, and the whole purpose of them is for line of sight and keeping the player in bounds. So for line of sight, the red guy would draw a line to the yellow guy if that's where he was moving, and if no physics object is collided with, it means he has line of sight. Likewise, if you move the red guy right to the edge, instead of them going off the edge, they would all line up right at the edge. SpriteKit has a few odd bugs that end up taking up just a day before you know it, before you think to look there. In this case, the bug was the triangle used to be here to here to here, just a bigger triangle. And it always returned false if you were anywhere in pretty much the rectangle for line of sight. By breaking it into a smaller triangle, it fixed the bug, and what you get is a different behavior of these red guys. Whenever they moved anywhere on this side of the screen, it was always saying they did not have line of sight. Now they can move anywhere on the screen. So that kind of thing, you spend hours looking in the wrong place before you figure it out, and then it's fixed now. Another movement thing that I started to work on is for animated nodes. Let me go to the file. Basically, the anchor point of an animated node. When you flip a node left and right, so imagine this archer flipping to the left or showing the front or the back, they might shift over a couple pixels from where the center of the node is. And that could be because the bow pops out. It's not a perfect square, it's a rectangle, and then you flip it opposite so the bow pops out. So now each direction has an anchor point that will, whenever a direction is flipped, it'll move to the proper anchor point, and it kind of makes them a little less jumpy. And then the third thing I did is give these guys physics bodies, and it's performing okay so far. I'm still working on performance and how many things on the screen I can fit at once. But the main reason for that, there's two. One is for when they're fighting, when they know they're close enough to actually begin contact, and the other is when the red unit walks through the yellow unit, instead of having the guys walk on top of each other, they'll kind of bump around each other. Unfortunately, that looks really bad right now. It looks kind of like two circles going around each other real quick instead of a graceful. So there's some tweaking that needs to be done there to spread them out a bit. Sprite Kit does have a force. You can apply a physics force to things, but I worry that each unit with the force will just kill performance. So we'll see how I do there. Last thing I did was add a new unit, just see what kind of code I needed. Most of the code scales properly, which is good, and I fixed the things that don't. But yeah, that's how the past, and then it was Thanksgiving break, so it was really only like 6 days of work since the last update. But next up is continue the UI work, and so moving through the UI and then the start of attacking through the UI, and we'll see how far I can get with attacking. And then I will update the blog post to show you where I'm at with story and characters, drawing characters. I think I have 2.5 weeks left with the first contract of the illustrator, and I just finished the first contract with the animator, so you can see what's going on there. That's it for now. Talk to you next time.